Cecilia Harvey, director and founder of Cultural Nexus. Welcome.
Thank you.
Black History Month. Why is it important that workplaces are celebrating Black History Month, particularly at the moment, do you think?
Great question. Well, I think the current climate is unsettling for an enormous amount of people in the UK, and there are pockets where people are fearful, where they are, being signed off sick, etc., etc. And I think being of colour now and understanding how to respect the identity of people of colour through this month is fundamental. And with this sort of far right sentiment rising, I think it's really important that we give voice to those diverse narratives that very often we forget. So the history of Britain, what does that look like? How many Black and brown people have helped build this nation, are part of this nation, contribute enormously to this nation. But I also think that it's about respecting someone's identity. And I think when you deny a piece of history that makes up their identity, it's really hurtful. And I think it's important to allow those stories and those voices to be told and heard, and potentially to sit a little bit with the discomfort of some of the elements. But I think that the good human relationships are based on respect and trust. And as part of that respect, it's acknowledging what Black history in the UK looks like, what progress has been made thanks to people of colour, over multiple generations, and I think celebrating it is great, but I think it's the most important piece is the educational piece, is really helping people to understand what those narratives look like, what has been overlooked, and what has been told differently or erroneously, or what are the omissions and why. Because I think, if we want to call ourselves Great Britain, that means every single person in Great Britain. So I think this month is a really good opportunity to remind us of what that looks like. Of course, like all things, and I know when I'm talking to you, I'm preaching to the converted, but it can't be just one month. But I think actually this month is really poignant because of where we're at as a nation, and because we're at a crossroads where we can decide the road that we take. And I think it's also, well, like many things that speak to diversity and difference, it's fascinating. It's not always happy. The stories and narratives are not always happy, but they are fascinating. And what is incredible is hearing stories of resilience, and stories of pushing boundaries, and stories of smashing glass ceilings, and and overcoming odds, and recognizing that contribution, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So which Black figure would you like to celebrate today? We're going to be doing a series over the course of the month, getting people to talk about their personal heroes, if you like. So for you, who's your figure?
Mine is Leroy Logan, MBE. So he was the superintendent in the Met Police for a long time, and founded, the Black Police Association. And the reason why is because he was one of those people that didn't back down, that was not satisfied with like surface level quick fixes, and he endured a lot. He spoke very openly about the inefficiencies and the systemic racial issues, and genuinely made progress in fixing them. And so I think he's a hero because he fought the odds. He's a hero because he paved the way for lots, and the Met Police is by no means fixed. However, the progress that he managed to make means that he's pushed that institution a little bit closer to fairness and equity and inclusion, and he's created a legacy and a part of culture that has lasted, because
Mm.
people remember him, because people speak of him, because he has tried and in my opinion successfully managed to chip away at a lot of the negative, and advance where we are. But I think also, I spoke earlier about bridges, but those matter even when the bridges are broken. So help mending bridges is also really important. And he for me, he was a builder. He built bridges and went in and helped rebuild ones where they were broken.
Yeah. No, absolutely love that. Thank you, Cecilia. That's brilliant. The person I chose for this session, also a man, a little bit further back in history, and the reason for choosing Dr. Harold Moody was because I think lots of people today, and again, particularly in the current environment that we're finding ourselves in, people think about post-war migration.
Mm,
They don't often think about the historic Black figures that have shaped British society. And so Dr. Harold Moody was born in 1882. He was born in Jamaica, moved to the UK in 1904 to study as a doctor, qualified in 1910, and couldn't get a job because no one would hire a Black doctor. And so in 1913, he set up his own practice, as a way to overcome that inability to practice his profession. Um, Several years later, 1931, he set up and was president of the League of Coloured People. Now, obviously, that language is a bit, but the intention was to protect the social, education, and economic and political rights of their members. And so again, what they did shaped a lot of the expectations in terms of the contribution that Black communities were making to the UK.
mm,
Um, and in fact, I think 4 or 5 of his children also served in the British Armed Forces. So one of the key things that the League of Coloured People did was they removed the colour bar from the British Armed Forces.
mm,
And then his children went on to serve for the country. So
mm.
you kind of think, well, that's really shaping Black British history, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so that's, yeah, for me, he's the one. So I love the fact that we've chosen one from olden days and one from more current times. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's fantastic.